In this video, I'm going to give you my best practical tips to help you stop seeking approval from others and find your value in God's love for you. My name is Mark. I'm the pastor here at Lazarus Church, where we seek to connect to Jesus, His church, and His kingdom calling for our lives. We care what other people think. You go back on social media and you check to see how many people liked that post. And if you're not on social media, don't go patting yourself on the back just yet. I'd like you to think about the last time you got an email from your boss and you had a little moment of panic where you scanned the email to see if it was something he was upset about, or maybe to check and see if there was an attaboy somewhere in there as well. We care what other people think. And we can't entirely get away from other people's approval, especially behavior approval. If we entirely did whatever we pleased and didn't care what other people thought, we'd never have a relationship or be able to keep a job. But instead, the kind of approval I want to talk about is value approval, allowing others' approval to determine our value. See, when we check that post to see how many likes it got, or scan that email to see if the boss was upset with us, we're secretly answering a dangerous question. Do I have value? It's dangerous because it places our value in the hands of people who, although they might be nice enough, are fundamentally flawed. And it leads to anxiety and depression. Next time you're tempted to think, I'm funny because people liked my post, or I'm important because the boss liked my project, I want you to follow these steps to stop finding approval in others and instead find your value in who God says you are. The first step is to reframe your mind. One of our counselors says we have these fantastic anticipation machines between our ears. What he means by that is, back in the days when we lived in a world where barbarians could come over the hill and attack our village, it was important for us to pay attention to those stressors and anxieties that would give us information about the world around us. In the world in which we live today, a lot of those signals can actually be ignored. They're still being received by our brain, though, so we need to do something with them. And he encouraged us to pause, take a breath, to thank our brains for giving us input about the world around us and dismiss it by saying, thanks, brain. I appreciate you letting me know about this thing over here. I'm actually going to ignore that, and instead I'm going to choose to focus on something else. That leads me to my second point, which is remember where your value comes from. God loves you so much that he was willing to sacrifice the life of his only son, sending him to live perfectly for us, die for our imperfections, and then rise again so we could be with him forever. Your life has value because God cares for you. And the third thing I'd like you to do is to listen carefully. And what I mean by that is that when we're receiving feedback from someone, where they're either giving us their approval or not, I'd like you to listen carefully to where that person is coming from. Don't listen for them to give you some sort of approval that you feel you need. Instead, recognize that they're speaking to you as another flawed human being. And although their input might be helpful, never let it speak to your value, because your value is found only in God and who he says you are. You have value because you're a person whom God loves. Nothing you do can change that. It's purely a gift because he loves you and because he sent his son Jesus to live, die, and rise again for you. Stop seeking approval from others. God loves you and values you, and we do too. You can find out more about our new church in the Spring Woodlands area by clicking the link in the description below to visit our website, lazarus.church.com.